Hello, everyone. You can see everyone is kind of trickling in right now, so we'll give it a couple minutes before we get started. If you would like to introduce yourself by dropping your name and the program that you've been admitted for in the chat and where you've been coming from, feel free to do so. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you are welcome to do that. My name is Kiara Hewitt, and I am one of the admission counselors here at Chapman. I want to give you a huge congratulations on your admission. It really was a very exciting admission process. It was very exciting to read all of the incoming applications, and we are very, very happy to welcome you as new Panthers, potentially. Today we are going to be doing just a quick little presentation for you all, and then we're going to be having a student panel where you can ask current students any questions that you might have about their experience. And we're going to be doing all of that before your virtual tour today. So we're going to go ahead and get started there. This is an overview of the students that were within this first cycle for fall 2025 admission. We are expecting to get just around 17,500 in applications. For our early action and early decision admits, we had an average GPA, admitted student GPA of just around 3.81 weighted. We are seeing students currently from 47 states and 84 countries. So students are coming from all over. They're being admitted from all over, which is super exciting. We love adding to our diverse student community in that way. 46% of these admitted students are identifying as students of color, and 70% of students apply test optional. So lots of exciting numbers here that we're really happy to see. A little bit more information about this class. The most popular song this year in that fast facts question of what song should we listen to as we're reviewing your application was Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. This actually displaced what is now the second most popular song of Vienna by Billy Joel. Both older songs, so they were fun to see popping up. Top bucket list items were things like skydiving and world travel. So you are all very adventurous, bold people. I definitely don't think I would put skydiving on a list of mine, but props to you all. And dream jobs were things like CEOs, lawyers, and medical practitioners. So really great look at the kinds of students that we have welcome to potentially be part of our community. So a little bit about Chapman. If you were not familiar already, we are located in the city of Orange in Southern California, just about an hour south of Los Angeles and 2 hours north of San Diego. We are just about a 5 to 10 minute drive from Disneyland, which is pretty exciting for some people. I did read that mention in a number of the apps that I read, which I completely understand. It's a very cool thing to be close to. We're also close to beaches and mountains. There is just tons that is going to be around and available to you should you choose to attend and become a Chapman student, joining our community in that way. Lots of very exciting options. Something else that might be exciting to you, while there are all of those opportunities for students for those fun social activities in either of those big cities of San Diego or LA or Orange County, broadly speaking. There are also lots of opportunities for professional development. What you're seeing on screen is a collection of corporations that our students have been working with either as a current student themselves, getting an internship with them while they're a student, or post-grad. They have now a career with these different organizations, and there are some pretty big names up here. So if that is something that is exciting to you, that is something that you could potentially look forward to as an opportunity for you should you choose to attend. Here are some of our notable alumni. Shannon is actually the older sister of one of the current students who works in our office. She is awesome. If you have ever seen any of the social media for the NFL, that is all Shannon. She is responsible for running all of those accounts and the content that they post. So again, it's just another view into the kinds of things that Chapman students are able to do following their graduation. They really are in these big, important spaces, and being able to like fulfill out their dreams and interests, because being a Chapman student is not just about what you do in the classroom, but really prepping you for your work beyond that. We have some awesome facilities that you will learn more about in your tour later on. So things like the engineering wing, the Sandy Simon Dance Center, Hilbert Museum, and Chapman Court. These are all really awesome facilities that will be available to you should you choose to attend Chapman. They are great for both people involved in these programs or not involved in these programs, open to all to see or participate in depending on your different involvements. But again, lots available to students. If you are wondering about next steps, this is going to be a really awesome picture for you to maybe take a screenshot of or a picture of. This is going to be the enrollment timeline for our first years. If you are a transfer student that is attending this session, the next slide is going to be all for you. It's the same kind of schedule, just pushed a month back. So on May 1st is that national deposit deadline where you are going to decide whether or not you are going to commit to attending Chapman, which will require you to submit both an enrollment and housing deposit. May 15th, your housing application is going to be due. We do require all students to live on campus for the first 3 years of their time at Chapman, unless you live within a 30-mile radius of our campus, and then you can possibly get that waived. Throughout the summer, there are going to be housing assignments that are given. You're going to register for your classes. By July 31st, we need all of your final transcripts and official test scores. And then orientation happens in mid-August and classes start. So it's a really exciting timeline. Lots of stuff to look forward to there. And again, here is that transfer option. It's just slightly shifted, but around the same time, if you are a transfer student and you want to take a screenshot of this, again, feel free. I'll pause on it for just a couple moments for anyone who needs to do that. Awesome. If you are interested in connecting with us, either in person or virtually, we have a number of admitted student opportunities coming up. Our admitted students day is going to be our preview day, and that is kind of our big event in April. Registration for that will open within the next couple of weeks. If that's something you're interested in doing, I highly, highly encourage it. It's super fun. A bunch of admitted students will be flocking to campus to get a feel for it. You have the chance to meet with staff, faculty, current students, the likes. This is a super, super fun day. If you can make it out, I highly encourage it. There are also going to be regional admitted student sessions that are held throughout. If you are in a region where a session is going to be held, you will receive communication about it and will be able to register for it in that way. Panther for a Day is an opportunity for prospective admitted students to come and partner with a current student to really see what it's like to spend a day as a Chapman student. And there are also admitted transfer student sessions that are both on campus and virtual throughout the next few months. So again, if any of these are of interest to you, go ahead and take a picture of this screen as well, and maybe add these to your calendar as things to potentially participate in. But I am now going to turn it over to our wonderful student panels. I'm going to give you some time to ask our current students some questions. We have 3 lovely panelists with us today. We have Taylor, Kyle, and Micah. I'm going to have them all introduce themselves, say their name, their year, and what they're studying. And you guys can answer or ask any questions that you want within the chat, or you can unmute yourself, whatever works best for you as participants. But I really encourage you to use this time to ask so many questions that you might have. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can all see each other well. And also, if no one has any questions, I will have some questions for them to answer. But Taylor, how about you go ahead and start?
Sure. Okay. So hi guys, I'm Taylor. I'm currently a senior here at Chapman studying writing for film and television with a minor in integrated educational studies, which is actually called community educational studies now. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, so I am an out-of-state student and I will be going to grad school after this, which is really exciting. Thank you to Chapman for that opportunity. With that being said, a couple of my involvements, I do currently work as a tour guide, so I hope to see you guys on campus if you can make it out for one. I have a research position within our Department of Sociology, working with the Department of Homeland Security, which has been awesome. I'm also a Chapman ambassador, and I used to be an RA for 2 years, but now in my senior year, I get to intern with them as an housing operations manager, which has been really fun and awesome. And then I'm also vice president of our Chapman Black Art Association on campus, which is a club that a couple of my friends and I founded, and that's been also just a wonderful opportunity. But yeah.
I can go next. Hi, my name is Kyle. I'm a first year student at Chapman, and I'm originally from Palo Alto, California. I'm a liberal studies major, which is kind of a fancy way of saying elementary education. And I'm actually going to minor in elementary education as well as English. So I want to do a double minor. That'll be super fun. I'm involved in Jewish life here on campus. I'm both with the Chabad and Hillel organizations. Chapman Jewish Life, all of it. I'm going to be a part of Kappa Delta Pi, which is also known as KDP here on campus. It's an honor society meant for future educators, which is super exciting. And along with that, I'm one of the admission ambassadors here, so I get to work with you all to answer all of your questions.
Uh, okay, hi, Micah. I am a sophomore here at Chapman. I'm majoring in PR, advertising, entertainment marketing with a double minor in economics and music business. For my involvements on campus, I'm a student ambassador. I'm a member of Chapman's NSU, which is our Japanese student union, as well as Chapman Pu'ikeana, which is our Hawaii club. I'm from Hawaii. And I'm also a member of Alpha Kappa Psi, which is one of our business fraternities here at Chapman.
Okay, awesome. Does anyone have any questions that they want to ask any of our panelists directly? Again, you can type it in the chat, you can shout it out, whatever is fine. If nobody has a question, I have a question. For all of you, one of you, feel free, whoever wants to answer it most can chime in. But what do you like most about the program that you're in?
I can start with that. So, part of being a liberal studies student is that I get to take classes in almost every department. So, that's going to be English, math, theater, all of it. And so, just last semester, I got to take an engineering class and a theater class. And just that combination, I know that will make me a well rounded student in the future. It'll really prepare me for being an elementary school teacher. And those classes were never thought that like I would enjoy a theater class so much, but like learning about the different cultures and how theater fits into that, like I love my program, especially because I get to take some really cool classes and it's super exciting.
I could also touch on this very briefly. This is going to sound really silly, but the elective part of like my program for screenwriting or writing for film and television has been really awesome for me, just because it kind of opened a little bit more like doors. So I'm really into video gaming, and for one of my electives, I actually took writing for video games, and my professor did a lot of work on all the Diablo and Call of Duty games, and so it was nice to like, oh, this is something that I could do instead of just writing TV or writing movies. I could actually like potentially write a decision-based story game or or something like that. And so it was kind of fun to like get out of the scope of like my actual major while also like still doing stuff.
Yeah, just to kind of echo what Taylor said, I think for me, being part of the film school, one of the biggest draws for me is my professors and just the type of people that we bring in to teach these classes. A lot of these professors have real professional experience or that are still working in the industries that we're interested in. Last year, I had the opportunity to take a marketing class with the former Warner Brothers executive marketing director. He was in charge of all the marketing for his movies like the Harry Potter series, and some other like I think 40 plus films that I know a bunch of. So it was really cool to just hear his perspective and hear about, some of the real world application stuff that he's teaching us in class. And I thought that was really fun.
Great answers. Thank you all. Roger asks, can you talk a little bit more about campus life?
I could start with this one. It's definitely going to vary from student to student, which is kind of nice that we all get to talk about it. But for me, I have like what we call 12-hour days on campus by choice. I'm actually a part-time student this year, so I'm only taking 3 classes in the fall, and then I'm taking 2 this upcoming spring. And yeah, I still spend all my time on campus. I mainly do that just because I want to like spend more time with my friends, and I really like cater my schedule to that. So I may have class from 1 to 2:15 on one day, but I'll have my internship on campus from 8 to 12. During like in the middle of those times, I would kind of just like sit in our piazza area, which you'll see a little bit on the tour, and I'll like wait to see like which of my friends will actually like pass by, and I'll like see them and be like, okay, come sit with me, we'll like chat, like catch up really quickly, maybe like grab lunch on campus. And so like that's really like what I appreciate with like staying on there. And then after my day is over around like 6:45 or 7 p.m., I'll just get to like walk home, and then it's like, oh, I'm so tired, I've been doing so much, but really I haven't. I've just been socializing all day on campus. But that's kind of like the way that I really enjoy like my campus life, and kind of just even seeing like my professors from freshman year and being like, oh my gosh, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in so long, and just kind of like getting to see that as well.
For me, like as crazy as it sounds, like when I toured Chapman, like it just felt right. And like it's like hard to describe, but it really did just like feel like a home that I could picture myself being there for the next 4 years. And when I walk around campus, I see people I know walking by and we'll stop and we'll say hi to each other. It's a really good community there. Everyone is so nice, so welcoming. And even though it was just my first semester that I had finished, like I know so many new people, I've made so many friends. And so I love the campus life. I think it's super positive and all of the students make that good too.
Yeah, just like what Kyle and Taylor said, I think what I like the most about campus life at Chapman is that our school is not too big. So you'll get a chance to see people that you know all the time, just walking around campus randomly, you get to say hi to them and talk to them. For me, yeah, like they said, it's a big deal when I kind of just chilling before or after classes and between my breaks, and I see people walking by or in different buildings, and I just kind of say what's up, or we can end up hanging out for like an hour or two. I feel like that is a big uh, it's a big benefit. That's something that not a lot of people touch on. I feel like just being able to pass time in between classes on campus and not feeling the need to go back to your dorm or go back to wherever it is that you're living at the moment and kind of just have to stay by yourself. It's a great chance for you to meet people and just interact with people on a daily basis.
Even though I'm not a student myself, I can really resonate with what everyone was saying about that community feel. Like, really, from the moment you step on campus, like, you can just feel the students are really happy, excited to be there, and there really is a nice sense of community. Does anyone else have any questions they wanted to ask our panelists? Okay, well, then I will ask, I think, one more question for you all. What is your favorite Chapman memory?
I have one. So, okay. So for the Atala School of Education, our incoming freshman class was pretty small. It's around like 20 to 25 people. And I like how they housed us in the living learning communities, which basically means that all of the education people were put together on one side of the floor in one of the buildings. So I'm in the fourth floor of our Sandu building on the south side, and it's lovely being next to all of my friends all the time. But I think my favorite part of that is when during orientation, we all got to know each other in our little groups. And so now almost every night, basically, we all go to dinner downstairs at the cafeteria together. And so I get to see all of my friends every day for dinner, and it's really special. That's my favorite part.
I'll follow up with that very briefly. We have a lot of Chapman traditions, I think just for like different clubs or different like performance-based things. And my best friend is currently president of one of our a cappella groups on campus. I like to consider myself a little bit of a groupie, but every year they have this thing called Tones Fest where they actually invite other a cappella groups from other universities nearby, and then they have like one big performance sometime like in the fall. So I just went to my fourth one, and it's so sad to think that that's the last, but that's always just been my favorite like Chapman tradition, just because we get to like watch the Chapman a cappella groups perform, and then like all these other like people that we actually get to connect with who are like at these universities that I never got the chance to even know were like nearby. And so it's kind of nice to just like get that other sense of community, but also like have that on our campus of just, oh, I can't wait to just like stay here until 8 p.m. to like actually get to see that showcase.
I think for me, it's not just one event, but I think it's something that happens every semester, which is involvement fair. As like a freshman, it's a great chance for you to get to see all the clubs and organizations that are available on campus for you to join. It's a great chance to meet people and kind of see what different clubs there are for you to access. I truly believe there's over like 200 clubs on campus, and I truly believe if you have an interest, there's a club for you to join. And if not, it's really easy to make one too. So involvement fair is a great chance for you to get to learn about those clubs. But even as like upperclassmen, as someone who has joined organizations and clubs already, it's a great chance for me to represent my own clubs and kind of share what I've learned and what I appreciate about my communities with other people and try and show them that it's a great chance for them to join my communities as well.
Thank you all for sharing. Those were very, very sweet, very heartwarming. Um, does anyone else have any questions that they want to ask our panelists before we transition into the tour that you will be taking?
Kira, do you mind
Yeah.
if I answer the religious question
No,
that
go
was
for it.
okay? I actually like randomly get asked this question a lot on my tours. But Chapman does have a religious like foundation, but we are not a religious school anymore. That changed like I could be wrong, don't quote me, like 100 years ago or something, as much as I would like to say, yeah. So we're not like religious based like at all. There's no like religious requirement for any classes. You're not like required to like participate in any of that. But I wasn't a Christian coming into college. I am now. Very weird story that had nothing to do with Chapman at all. But I ended up for one of just like an upper division GE class. I ended up taking this class called Religion and Medicine, and it was really hard, but it was ending up being like one of my favorite classes that I've ever taken at Chapman, just because the professor was just so incredible and amazing. We do have a fish interfaith center on campus, exactly what it sounds like. It's an interfaith center, so it's not specifically toward any religion. You'll learn a little bit on that in the tour, so I won't talk too much about it. But don't feel like you have to be obligated to be religious in any way or be spiritual in any way. You could totally be so far removed away from that and have the exact same experience as another person or like me on campus who is a Christian. There is like no requirement or serious type of religious aspect on campus, and you most likely won't even feel that either unless you have friends who are a part of something like that.
Thank you for catching that, Taylor. I just got completely missed it in the chat. So I appreciate you touching on it because it is super important. But like she mentioned, you will learn a little bit more about the Fish Interface Center on the tour that you are about to go on. So if there are no further questions, I am going to hand the Zoom over to our lovely tour guides, Francesca and Paige, who will be taking you through this virtual tour today.
Hi everyone, my name is Francesca and I will be one of your tour guides.
Hi, my name's Paige. I'll be your other tour guide, and we're so excited to be showing all around today. If you haven't had the chance to introduce yourself in the chat, please go ahead and do that now. That way we can get to know each other. And also just again to congratulate you for being admitted to Chapman. It's super exciting and we're so happy to be a part of this journey with you. Francesca and I can start off by introducing ourselves a little bit and then we can hop right into our tour. That way we can make sure we can see as much as possible. So like I said, hi, my name's Paige. I am a senior health science major on the pre-physician assistant track and I have a minor in peace studies. I'm from San Jose, California, so not too far away, but definitely not close. And then some of my on-campus involvements include being a tour guide. I do research on campus. I've served as an orientation leader. I'm in some of our pre-health clubs, and I'm also a student grader.
Thank you, Paige. My name is Francesca. I am currently a senior at Chapman, so I'm finishing up my last semester. I study political science and global communication. I'm originally from San Diego, and some of my involvements on campus include, of course, having the best job ever in the Office of Admission. I have also done research within the School of Communication. I'm part of our pre-law co-ed fraternity on campus called Kappa Alpha Pi. And I also do some work in the School of Communication as a peer mentor. But with that said, I am going to start sharing my screen and we'll hop right into this tour.
Alrighty, so we're going to be starting off our tour today on Memorial Lawn. This is kind of that postcard picture of campus that you've probably seen before if you've ever given us a little Google search. So we'll just go over these main buildings that we have right here, as well as some information that's relevant to this space. So some of the buildings you're seeing are going to include our Doty Hall, which is home to our School of Communication. Just a little note, when we say that something's home to a school, it doesn't mean that if you are a comm student, you are stuck in that building for all 4 years. Don't worry, you'll make your way through campus. It usually just means that your professor offices might be in there, also maybe sometimes some resources for your program. But like I was saying, we have our School of Communication. Something really awesome about our School of Comm is that there's research and internship experience ingrained in the curriculum. So in order to graduate from the School of Comm, you do have to have that experience, which means that our department does a really great job of setting students up for those opportunities. And a lot of students will actually use those opportunities once they leave our campus, which is really awesome to kind of form those connections before you're even out looking for a job. We also do have our Reeves Hall. Reeves Hall is home to our Donna Ford Atala College of Educational Studies. You heard a little bit about that program from our amazing panelists. Something else I just want to mention is that we do have a lot of integrated studies programs on our campus. So if you end up wanting to look into what's traditionally called a 4+1, we have quite a few of those where you're able to get your bachelor's and your master's usually within 5 years. So just something to keep in mind. I'm a little partial to this next building you're seeing on the right side, which is our Roosevelt Hall. And Roosevelt is home to our Wilkinson College, which has our most diverse group of colleges, or excuse me, programs. It has everything from peace studies and political science all the way to art and graphic design. So there's quite a lot that happens in that building. It's also the historic home to our nationally ranked newspaper. Like everything these days, it's online, so you can find it on Google. You just type in the Panther and you can check out some amazing work that's been made by our students. And then the big hall that you're seeing right behind this lovely girl right here is actually our Memorial Hall. And Memorial Hall is the biggest and most gorgeous building on this lawn. And a lot of really cool stuff happens in there because it is our second largest performance space. One of the groups that uses this space includes Greek life. If you're interested in Greek life, that's awesome. We have several social sororities and social fraternities on our campus, and they are mostly focused on philanthropy. So each one will have a different organization that they're working to raise money for. We have so many fun events that happen in order to raise money for these different philanthropies. My favorite is actually something called Air Bands, which is hosted by our Oh, excuse me. Yes, Air Bands, which happens in Memorial Hall. And this is a really fun event where you can go and watch different performances. It's like a big dance competition with all the sororities and fraternities, and all the proceeds go to the philanthropy that they're supporting. So really awesome to see that. Something that you're not going to be able to quite see from this angle is actually your Office of Career and Professional Development, where you have access to so many different amazing resources, things like resume workshops, we have mock interviews, all the things that are going to help you in your search for internships and jobs. And you have access to that not only while you're here at Chapman as a student, but also once you graduate. So once a Panther, always a Panther. We're here for you. And I think we're going to head on over to AF next.
All right, so this is our Argyros Forum. This is the first floor of our student union. We like to call this like our living room on campus. So you'll see students doing homework, mingling with friends. You might be able to see those TVs on the walls where we host watch parties for the Oscars and the Super Bowl. One of my favorite events that takes place in this space is our midnight breakfast. So during finals week at midnight on one of the days, we provide breakfast food at no extra cost for students. So it's just a super fun way to unwind during that busy week. But also on the first floor, a little bit over to the right, we're going to pan over there soon, but we have some of our eateries as part of our meal plan. We'll go more in depth about our meal plan later on this tour, but we have eateries like Qdoba, Sub Connection, Einstein Bagel, and Jamba Juice down here on the first floor where you can get a snack, get a meal, use that meal plan. And then also, I mentioned our midnight breakfast that we have. That's actually hosted by our university program board. They plan some of our fun social events on campus. So we have guest speakers, we do fall concerts, always something fun happening on campus. But we also have our Student Government Association, and they create initiatives to better the student experience on campus. So they've done things like implement water bottle refill stations, so our campus can be a little bit more plastic conscious. We also have a week-long Thanksgiving break instead of a long weekend, so you have that entire week to be with family and friends. We also have some new athletic facilities on our campus. One of our newest gyms is in the basement of our dorms, and that was made possible by our Student Government Association as well. But one last thing that I want to mention on the first floor is some of the amazing tech services that we have. So we have charger stations, we have a laptops to go cart. Essentially, students can rent out a laptop for a couple hours. It's really handy when yours breaks, you run out of battery. One of my best friends, her laptop broke during finals week, so that came in very, very handy. But moving on up in the building, on the top floor, we have our Cross-Cultural Center. This is also part of our Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, a space where our cultural groups can come together. We have cultural events in this space, but also all throughout our campus. We have cultural graduation ceremonies. We celebrate Heritage Months on campus. So really, really fun events once again going on. But I also do want to mention that we have our dean's office, our office of the dean of students, also on the first floor. Our dean of students is Jerry Price. He's super, super accessible. If you do have any questions or concerns about student life, his whole team is amazing. But moving on, I'm going to let Paige take it over with our tech center.
Alrighty, we're gonna head over to our Keck Center for Science and Engineering, which has two big wings. This is one of our newest buildings on campus. I think it's absolutely stunning. And not only is it beautiful, but it has lots of really amazing state-of-the-art equipment inside that students have firsthand access to. So our Keck Center houses both our Schmid College of Science and Technology and our Fowler School of Engineering. The side that you're looking at right now is more of our Schmid side, where we have tons of different labs, including labs where students are able to start hands-on research starting your freshman year. So if you're like me and you're someone who's super interested in research and you're super eager to get your hands on different equipment and start working in a lab, you have the opportunity to do that here. We do also have a science on display theme on this side of the building, so it's a little bit hard to tell from this angle, but we have lots of classrooms with floor-to-ceiling glass where you can look in and see students working with that state-of-the-art equipment. And we also do have a lot of floor-to-ceiling whiteboards on this side of the building where students participate in collaborative learning. My freshman year, I was taking calculus, and I am unfortunately not a math girly. I definitely struggle with math. And I was working on a problem on the whiteboards in Keck, and I decided to take a break. I went to our caf and I got some lunch. And by the time I came back, someone had solved the problem for me. So that was really exciting and fun to see. Now you're taking a look inside our Swenson Engineering Hall, where you can see our collaborative makerspace, where students are able to use different equipment that we have there, including 3D printers. We have embroidery machines, sticker makers, there's laser etchers, all kinds of really cool equipment that you can use even if you're not in our engineering programs. You can still get certified to use this equipment. And then I think next we're gonna head on over to our Leatherby Libraries, which is another one of my favorite spots on campus. And something awesome about our Leatherby Libraries is that we have tons of different study rooms available. So if you are looking to reserve a room and study for a test or during finals week, you can just head on to our website and reserve a room for, I believe, up to 6 hours at a time. It's awesome because a lot of them also got remodeled to have screens inside. So if you want to practice a presentation or you're working on prepping for an interview, it's really great for that. We also do have a section of the library called the Rotunda, where we have our Rotunda Cafe on the first floor. So if you need a little study snack, maybe a coffee, that is super accessible to you. And then last but not least, I definitely want to mention up on the fourth floor, we do have our Holocaust Memorial Library, where we have a lot of amazing artifacts. And also, if you're interested in Holocaust studies, we do have a Holocaust studies minor. And I'm going to hand it back to Francesca to talk a little bit about our Atala Piazza.
Okay, so this is the heart and center of our campus. That fountain that you see on the left has 4 pillars. Those are 4 core values of our university. So it's spiritual, social, intellectual, and physical. And right here, you can see the library that we were just inside. But the piazza is one of my favorite places on campus because I am always running into someone I know whenever I'm in this space. But also one of my favorite events takes place here in the piazza, and that is our homecoming tailgate. So every year during our homecoming football game, Chapman hosts lots of events on campus. We have food out for students and families, and I just love it because it's a chance for my family to come out. It's a chance for me to meet my friends' family. We all just get together and have so much fun. But we also have events like the involvement fair, which was mentioned earlier by one of our panelists. We also have our career fair out in this space, hosted by our Office of Career and Professional Development. They bring in so many employers like the ones you saw earlier. And it's really amazing because students are able to get interviews, maybe even internships, jobs on the spot, which is super, super cool. But I do want to mention, as I was talking about clubs, we have over 190 different clubs in so many different topics. It could be, we have a snow and ski club, we have an animation club, dance, really whatever you can think of, we have a club relating to it here at Chapman. But moving on, our Beckman Hall, it is also kind of by the piazza, but this space is home to our Ardros College of Business and Economics. We have really cool spaces like this one right here, which is our Janes Financial Center, where students can get Bloomberg certified. So if you are interested in trading on the stock market, this is an amazing resource to get trained for absolutely no extra cost, which is awesome. But we also have things like our Leatherby Center for Entrepreneurship and Ethics. So if you're an aspiring CEO, this might be the place for you. They host events like our Panther Cage Match, which is basically our spin on Shark Tank. So you can get opportunities to have your startups funded by Chapman and get going with your business, which is super, super cool. But with that said, I'm going to hand it back over to Paige to talk about Cream.
Amazing. So this is our Crane Hall. We have majors like health science and psychology that are housed here. And right now you're actually seeing the inside of one of our anatomy labs. So you're seeing some individual microscopes that students are able to use. We use these often to look at different histology slides. And then as we rotate around, you're also going to see my favorite resource, which is our anatomage tables, which are basically kind of like giant iPads that students are able to use to look at our virtual cadavers. You're able to swipe through different layers of the body, which can sound kind of gross to some people, but it's really cool from the student perspective to get to do that. You'll also see lots of different models that we have, all of the books that we use, and this is just one of the many spaces that our students have access to. Another one that we have access to is our human performance lab, where students are able to learn about muscles and learn about how different systems of the body work. We also get to learn how to take vital signs, do triage, and actually measure these different things on ourselves and other students. So lots of hands-on learning that happens in this building. We also have tons of different research opportunities through our health science, through psychology, and also through some of our different bridge programs. We do have quite a few bridge programs linked to our health sciences, and we have a whole separate campus for our graduate health science professions. So if you're interested in things like our accelerated pre-pharmacy program, or if you are a student who's interested in becoming a physical therapist or a physician assistant, that is definitely something to look forward to once you're here at Chapman. And also, if you are wanting to participate in research, but participate more on the participant side and not be doing the research, you also have the opportunity to participate in different research studies here at Green Hall. And next, we're going to hop on over to Dodge. So our Dodge College is actually made up of quite a few different buildings. I believe we're going to see a few of them, including our Marion Knott Studios, which is where we have our large Felino Theater. We also do have our Digital Media Arts Center, where a lot of students who are working on animation and visual arts will be. And then Chapman Studios West, which is one of our prop houses that houses a lot of work that students make. Dodge is incredible. We are ranked number 4 in the nation, which is a super exciting accolade that we have. But this is where we like to mention a little bit about student work, because here at Chapman, we really do value ownership and autonomy with your work. So anything that you make here at Chapman, whether you're a student in Dodge or you're a student doing your own independent research or you're writing a paper, all of this belongs to you. And Chapman does a really good job at protecting student autonomy with your work. So you own all the rights to your work, and that's definitely something to keep in mind as you're trying to decide where you want to end up at. And then just a few more notes. You might have heard of some of our notable alumni through Dodge, including Justin Simeon, Parker Finn, and everyone's fave, the Duffer Brothers, who created Stranger Things. So those are just some of the many notable alums that we have through our Dodge program. And I'm going to hand it back to Francesca.
Awesome. Let me just try to get out of this. Here we go. All right, so next I am going to be talking about our Musco Center for the Arts. It is our largest performing arts space that we have on campus. It's a little over 1,000 people, but the events that are hosted in here are truly incredible. Of course, we have our Chapman students maybe working in theater, dance, music, but we also host outside guests and organizations, music groups, different touring artists sometimes will stop in here. But one of my favorite events is when they show a film, usually a Disney film, and our band and orchestra is in the pit doing the live soundtrack to the film. Such a beautiful experience, especially in this space. But I do want to show a couple more images of our beautiful Musco Center. That's the inside, and then we have the outside of the building. Truly a beautiful space, and the ambiance is amazing when it's packed full of guests. But yeah. But I also do want to mention our Sandy Simon Center for Dance. This is also part of our College of Performing Arts. Fortunately, oh yes, we do have it right here. I lied. But this is our Sandy Simon Center for Dance. It's one of our newest spaces on campus. It opened in the spring of 2023. And we just have so many large, beautiful studio spaces for our dance students. Maybe those of you who have always wanted to take a dance class, you can also do that here at Chapman. But we also do have lounge spaces for our dancers and other guests within this building. And then we even have a physical therapy area for our dance students as well. So really fun spaces, and we also host some amazing events here as well. But with that said, we are going to keep moving on. I'm going to talk a little bit about our Global Citizens Plaza, which is right here. Chapman has a strong emphasis on global education. So you're going to see that reflected in our GE classes, our language requirement, things like that. But of course, that does mean we have a very strong study abroad program. So for those of you interested in studying abroad, so many opportunities and experiences all through Chapman. I actually studied abroad last year. I did a program called Semester at Sea, and it was the best 4 months of my life. And I definitely couldn't have done it without the support that Chapman provided before going and even after coming back. They're making sure that you're taking classes that fit into your graduation plan. You're not experiencing culture shock when you get there. They make sure you get we're all prepped and ready to go. And even when we come back, they offer support services to adjust back into campus life as well. So I definitely recommend studying abroad, especially here at Chapman. And then I'm going to hand it back over to Paige to talk about our Fish Interfaith Center.
Perfect. So y'all heard a little bit about our Fish Interfaith Center during the panel, and I definitely just wanted to echo some of the information given to you. So while we were founded by the United Church of Christ and the Disciples of Christ, we're not a Christian university in that we don't have any sort of religious requirements for attending services or taking any certain classes in order to graduate. But that definitely doesn't mean that we don't have support for students who are interested in religious services. We have several full-time staff members that work in the Fish Interfaith Center. I believe we have a full-time Christian pastor, a Muslim sheikh, and a Jewish rabbi that all serve our Interfaith Center, as well as guests that we bring in to help put on different events. So if you are a student who's looking for religious support here at Chapman, we have plenty of that for you. And if for some reason we are not supporting you in a certain way, we will work to make sure that you are represented and supported on our campus. And then for a lot of our students, we do have different mindfulness and spiritual events for students. So things like mindfulness meditation, we have sound healing, labyrinth walks, all kinds of really awesome stuff that students can participate in, no matter what your interest is. And you're seeing some of the really gorgeous photos of this space. That's the labyrinth walk. Yes. Lots of really fun, amazing opportunities through our Fish Interfaith Center. I also recently attended a graduate creative writing seminar there, so there's all kinds of stuff that happens in this space. And I think we're gonna head on over to our Liberty Plaza next, or perhaps our Wilson Field. Okay, Wilson Field. So is anyone potentially interested in athletics? Maybe a little show of hands or maybe not, that's okay too. If you are interested in athletics, we do have 23 Division III sports, and we have a great culture and atmosphere with sports on our campus. Francesca was talking about our homecoming game not that long ago. That's also one of my favorites. And I would say that while we aren't one of those schools where sports is our main personality or our only personality trait, it definitely still does have a presence on our campus, and there's a lot of support between sports as well. If you're not looking to play at that D3 level, we do have opportunities for club and intramural sports as well. So if you can participate in whichever way best fits you and your schedule. You also, just being a student at Chapman, have access to our amazing facilities. So that's going to be our 3 different gyms that we have on campus. We have rock walls, tennis courts, we have a gorgeous aquatic center, and also a pool over by our dorms, which you'll see in just a few seconds. So there's no shortage of athletic facilities here at Chapman if you are interested in using any of that. And then I'm going to hand it back to Francesca. I think we're going to head over to our residence life area.
Okay, awesome. So I do want to give a brief overview of what residence life looks like at Chapman. So like mentioned earlier, we do have a 3-year housing requirement, and this housing requirement can be waived if you're coming from a 32-mile radius of our campus. So our first year students will be living in one of our first year residence halls, and this is actually our pool. And I guess you could say, I like calling it a backyard. I think it's like a backyard area that we have by the dorms. But I do want to show a couple pictures. We don't have more pictures of the dorms here, but we will get to that in a second. But yeah, we are located right in the middle of Orange and right by our neighborhoods, but we do have a lot of amazing public safety initiatives in place. Our public safety officers are also very, very amazing, and I felt nothing short of safe. Yeah, that's the right term. I've always felt very safe at Chapman, especially in our dorms. Within the dorms, we also have this pool. We have a basketball and volleyball court over here to the right, as well as free parking for students. So students are able to bring a car their first year. We have lots of parking garage spaces. But I do want to get into more depth about first year housing. So our rooms are triples. This is kind of what they look like. One of my favorite parts about Chapman housing is that we don't have any communal bathrooms. So you have a private bathroom that you share with your roommates or a suite style that you share with the room next to you. This was also mentioned earlier, but our living learning communities are also really amazing because you're living with people that you have classes with, and you probably will have classes with for the rest of your time at Chapman. So my roommate was the exact same major as me. Our neighbors, we were in the same classes. So you're really able to build that sense of community as soon as you get to campus, which I really, really appreciated, just being in a new space away from home. But we also do have amazing RAs. I do want to shout them out because they're always planning events throughout the semesters as well. So if you have nothing going on a certain night, you can always find an RA hosting an event and just even meet more people on campus in different majors and things like that. But I do want to talk a little bit about our continuing students. So I mentioned we have a 3-year housing requirement. So your first year is in the dorms that I just showed, and then your second and third year, you will be in one of our continuing student spaces. So we have apartments on campus and off campus. So we have off campus the K, which is right by Dodge. We have Panther Village. We have Chapman Court, which is a brand new building that we just acquired in Chapman Grand. So if you plan on bringing a car, students will drive back and forth between campus and these apartment spaces, but we also offer shuttles that run on a 15-minute loop between all of our buildings in main campus. So when I lived in our off-campus apartments, I had a car, but I opted to take the shuttle because it was just so convenient. But of course, we do have apartment spaces on campus just a short walk away as well. But I do want to talk a little bit about our meal plan in the cafeteria. So this is their amazing cafeteria. We call it the CAF for short, but they have 3 set meal times throughout the day. In between the meal times, you can go in and grab a snack. This cafeteria is located right next to all of our first year residence halls. They have one central cafeteria for our campus, and they have so many different stations open during meal times. And if you have any meal accommodations, maybe you have allergies, maybe you're just a picky eater, there's always options available to everyone. And our chefs are so accommodating. They are more than happy to alter a dish for you or just make you some butter noodles if that's what you're craving. So they're really, really amazing. But our meal plan is utilized at the cafeteria and those on-campus eateries that I mentioned earlier. So once you swipe into the cafeteria, it's all you can eat. And then you also have Panther Bucks, which is our form of currency that you can utilize at our on-campus eateries. But I also do want to highlight our little, I guess, convenience store that we have right next to the dining hall. It's called Doy's Place, and it's open until midnight. So even if, let's say, the cafeteria or our other eateries are closed, you still have options like Doy's Place to get a little midnight snack or pick-me-up. But I do want to see if we have any more images. Yeah, that's the cafeteria, and that's kind of what our stations look like. But with that said, we are going to keep moving on, and I'll hand it back over to Paige.
Alrighty, I think this might be one of our last stops, or maybe our last stop on the tour as far as locations. Right now, we're standing in Old Town Orange. We call this the Circle. It's about a 5-ish minute walk from campus, so basically right on campus. And this is what we call our extension of campus, because if you were to walk into the Circle right now, chances are you would run into a ton of Chapman students having lunch, studying at a cafe, maybe walking around, getting some exercise. Really, it is just a place that is always populated by Chapman students. I know I, for one, spend way too much time and money there, but there's everything you could ever need with restaurants, different coffee shops, antique stores, thrifting, ice cream, dessert. Anything that you could ever need is in the Circle, and it makes for a really great college town atmosphere. Some of my favorite places to go in the circle, which we might see some pictures of, include Thai Town. I love to get also an acai bowl at Blue Bowl. Earth Cafe is a great place to go to get a little pastry. Really, the options are endless, and you can't go wrong with any of the choices that we have. And then just touching a little bit more on our location, I know we talked about it already, but we have all kinds of ways to get around, including our Chapman shuttles, which will take you to all of our off-campus residence halls, as well as sometimes to the grocery store or Target on the weekend. And then we also have that train that's super close to our campus, which takes you all the way down to San Diego and all the way up to LA. So I really can't speak highly enough of our location because of its proximity to so many different things. It really does make it the perfect spot to be for both fun things, like your Disneyland, your beaches, Big Bear, all of that good stuff, but also really for professional development and all of the different opportunities and industries that are in our area. So that is a little bit about our campus. We hope that you enjoyed walking around with us. And before we get into your questions, which we're really excited to see, I just want to wrap up maybe with a little bit about why Francesca and I chose Chapman. So for me, I know that I could definitely yap on about this forever, so I'll just try to keep it to two main things, which are going to be community and also feeling like I was being set up for success. And so I chose Chapman because I wanted to feel like I was in a space where I could get involved easily, where I could make friends easily, and where I could feel like I was in another family environment. And that is something that Chapman offers its students. It's really hard to not be involved on our campus, and so that was a major draw for me. And then feeling like I was going to be set up for success and wherever I was going after Chapman is also something that's super important to me. And so seeing that Chapman had distinctions like opportunities for research and career fairs and internship support, and also just having small class sizes. All of this was something that set Chapman apart for me and making me feel like I was going to succeed as a student and therefore succeed wherever I'm going to go after Chapman.
So my reasoning for choosing Chapman is also very, very similar to Paige's. The small class sizes definitely is what stood out to me the most because I knew that I was going to learn the best when I could ask my professors questions and have time to discuss in class. Our professors are required to host office hours every single week. So those are time slots where I'm guaranteed I can meet with my professors and ask any questions, get any extra help. And the resources that we have on campus are just truly amazing within our career center, different advising services, things like that. They are constantly pouring out resources and opportunities for students to ensure that we succeed and are doing things that make us happy, which is so, so amazing. But I can also say that the environment on campus is truly amazing. Being able to see familiar faces in between classes, after classes, definitely something that wouldn't have been possible at a huge university. So I'm very, very grateful for that. But thank you so much for sticking with us on this tour. Paige just put in the chat the link to our platform called Ask a Student. So if you have any questions, we will be taking questions in just a couple minutes. But you can find students on this platform who are in the same major as you, maybe from the same hometown, and really ask personalized questions about their experience. So feel free to use that link. Paige and I are both on it if you have any further questions for us. But I do want to address some of the questions that are left already. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. But when it comes to choosing where to study abroad, there are lots of resources for that. There are specific universities that Chapman recommends, or I guess cities and locations Chapman recommends for your major. But if you have a country that you want to go to, you can definitely do that. Chapman does work with lots of different universities. We don't necessarily have a partner university, but students are able to take a semester at a different university to get those credits and be in those classes. But you really do have a wide range of cities and universities that you can go to, as well as places recommended for your major if you are just unsure. Then one more question in the chat. What clubs do you recommend for writing for film and television students? So many clubs out there. But I guess what comes to mind is we actually have a co-ed fraternity, a professional fraternity for film. I forget what it's called, but it's very similar to the co-ed fraternity that I'm in. It's just really being able to meet students of similar interests, grow professionally, learn so much knowledge I've gotten from the professional fraternity I'm a part of, but that's just one example. We have a plethora. I believe there's a full list of online, but plethora of clubs relating to film and television.
Yes, that was great. I was also totally going to mention DKA, which, like you're saying, is that professional fraternity. But the awesome thing about clubs is you can use it to explore something that's also outside of your major. So even if you are coming in for film and television writing, maybe you're also really interested in art or you like to snowboard. We have so many different clubs, and it's a great way to meet people who are not only in your major, but also all the way across campus and other fields as well. But yes, definitely feel free to drop a question in the chat if you have any. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
If you don't have any questions, thank you so much. This is the end of the tour. We hope you have an amazing rest of your day, but we will stick around if there are any questions.